Hi everyone, welcome to my first attempt at Learn by Doing. It'll be doubly so today because I'm going to attempt editing for the first time, so we will see how that goes. But anyway, I'm glad that you're here and let's have some fun with it. So, a little bit of background on what I want to do today. I got another new project, and I know I said I wasn't going to get any more until I had finished at least one, but I did finish one. That's not why I got this one. I got it because it's a great cause. It was actually a fundraiser. Hands Across the Sea Samplers is selling a specific Jane Marshall sampler, it's called. And all of the proceeds from that are going to 2 fire brigades in Australia fighting the Australian wildfires. So I couldn't resist getting a new project in order to support a good cause. Now, one thing with having an old-time sampler replica, I decided first I'm going to try linen for the first time. And so I have this piece of linen here. But as you can see, it's white. And if I'm working on a sampler replica from the 1800s, I'd like to have this look a little aged. So today our first project is going to be tea dyeing. And as long as I'm out experimenting with dyes and I have some of the materials out, I have this piece of even weave I'm also just going to try dyeing. And I'm going to ice dye that. Well, I'm going to try to ice dye that. So we'll see how this goes. And let's get started. Okay, so I think I've got everything here that I think I'm going to need except for the tea and the ice. Obviously those are still downstairs in the kitchen and I will prepare those and bring them upstairs when I need them. But I'll look a little bit at what I've got. Don't forget your gloves, and I guess if you want stained hands that's fine, but I don't. So I have my craft gloves, I have my powdered dyes for the ice dyeing. I have alum powder to act as a mordant for post dyeing to help the color stay fast. And I have soda ash and textile detergent for a pre-wash. I also have my tubs here and my baking racks to keep the fabric out of the material. So the first thing I'm going to do is wash the fabric with this textile detergent, and according to the directions I can go ahead and put the soda ash in at the same time into the washing machine with it. Excuse me. So what the textile dye does is it removes sizings and starches and other types of pre-treatments from the fabric to help get it ready to be washed. The soda ash also helps prepare the fabric to take the dye a little bit better. And I really need to invest in a GoPro or something like that if I'm going to do this on a regular basis, because working one-handed is hard. So, delicate cycle, in goes the fabric. I'm going to set this up just a minute. Yeah, I'm gonna have to stop for a second to get these things open. So I'll be right back. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is add the textile detergent. The instructions say 3 tablespoons per 8-pound of fabric. I don't have nearly that, so I'm going to use a tablespoon. And then it says to use, for the same amount, 2 tablespoons of soda ash. I also don't have a so I'm just going to use a little bit less than a full tablespoon of soda ash. Yes, I really need to get a GoPro if I'm going to be doing this a lot, because one-handed work is hard. And soda ash gets everywhere. It is hot water, delicate cycle, light wash, and here we go. And we'll come back and get that when it's done. So while we're waiting for the fabric to get washed, we can go ahead and start on the tee. First thing we need to do is put some water in there. The tutorial that I found, and I will post the links to the tutorials that I used for these in the show description. The tutorial I found said for a yard of fabric, probably about 4 cups of water and 2 tablespoons of salt. I'll let that dissolve a little bit, but the heat will dissolve it better than any stirring that I do. So we'll bring that to a boil, and then when that's ready, we'll come back and add the tea. Okay, our water is boiling, so it's time to add the tea. I'm just using plain old black tea, cheap tea, because I'm not using my nice, expensive, fancy teas on here. I'm a little bit of a tea addict, but I'm just using plain old Lipton. The tutorial said to use at least 1 bag per 8 ounces of water. I'm using roughly double that because I don't trust myself to get it right the first time. So I want to make it shoot for a little bit darker, and then maybe it'll be the color that I want. So the first thing to do is to cut all of the tags off the tea bags. Don't worry, these aren't my fabric scissors. So before you start yelling at me, they're just a pair of used to be fabric scissors. That I have a better pair now, and these are just things I use around the house for random stuff. So we'll get those covered by the water, and this smells fantastic. I may have to put the kettle on because now I'm craving tea. Remove it from the heat. They say to let it steep for at least 15 minutes. I will probably let it steep longer than that, just because, like I said, I don't trust myself to get it right the first time. So I'm going to do everything longer, stronger, whatever. So we'll let that steep for at least 15 minutes, and then we'll get to the dyeing part. Okay, so we're back. The fabric is done. All I did, I gave it a good cold water rinse upstairs. I wrung it out, although it's still a little wet, so I might wring it out again. And then our tea has been sitting for a good long time. It's way darker than I'd ever drink it. So let me get this another ring over the sink. Okay. And then the next thing I'm going to do is take the tea bags out of the dye bath. And then I'm going to put the fabric in. And I don't like that at all. I don't know how well I'll be able to show you this, but I'll try. You can see that the fabric's not covered by the tea, which I was kind of scared might happen. That's one of the reasons I used extra tea bags. But I think what I'm going to try instead is a smaller surface area. I'm going to put it in a smaller pot because I think there's enough tea in here. There's just not enough with that surface area. To completely cover the fabric. Yeah, that's a lot better. So I'm just going to push the fabric down until the tea is completely covering it. And I really should have brought a dish towel over here. It's not staying down too well. But I think that'll just make it look interesting. So there's what it looks like. Mostly covered. I think I am going to stick bowl in it to weigh it down a little bit. Yeah, that actually increases the coverage a little bit more even. So we're going to leave that sit for at least an hour. It'll probably be longer because I have some other stuff to do right now and I won't be paying attention. Guess I'll get some stitching done while I'm waiting. I'm getting pretty far on the Grimm's Fairy Tale Stitch Along. I'm almost done with January. Hopefully I'll be done with January before February comes along. Got my stitching assistant all ready to go. Say hi, Lexi Lou. So we're going to get some stitching done and we'll talk to you. Okay, so I've dried it and all that's left to do is iron it and finish it. I'm really happy with the color. The way this turned out is exactly what I had in mind. So I guess the tea dyeing worked and we'll check back in with the ice dyeing. And I really regret not having already gone out to get the ice now because that's going to be unpleasant. So I'm going to wait a little while longer. Okay, so despite it being cold and miserable out, I did manage to go out and get the ice. So I'm ready to take my first crack at ice dyeing. Here I have my 28 count even weave that I washed previously. It's still a little bit damp. And I've scrunched it up a little bit, mostly just to fit on the drying rack, because the places that you scrunch it up where the ice doesn't touch are places where the white's going to show through, and I really don't want a lot of white on this one. I'm kind of aiming for more full coverage, which would be better with an immersive type dye method, but I wanted to try ice dyeing, so we're going to do it this way. So the first thing you do is you cover, and I'm still working one-handed, is to completely cover the fabric with ice. Because again, any place the ice doesn't touch, you're not mixing any fabric. ice up there. My phone's reminding me it's time for me to take my meds, but they're gonna have to wait. So, got it mostly covered with ice. I picked 4 colors that I'm going to work with a little bit. Purple, navy, Kelly green, and fuchsia. I'm going for kind of like a galaxy type deep space, primarily with the navy and the purple, but with some accents of the Kelly green. So basically you just take the powdered dye and make sure that you've got it open. And I'll be right back because I forgot my spoons. Okay, I've got my spoons now, I've got my glove. And basically, all I'm going to do is spread the dye over the ice. Like that, and you've seen me do a little bit, so I'm probably going to stop for now so that I can use both ends to spread the dye, and I'll be back to show you the finished product. Okay, so this is what it looks like with all of the dyes added. Now I'm going to seal this. And I'm going to let it sit for 24 hours and we'll see how it looks tomorrow when all the ice has been melted. Okay, now it's 24 hours later. Hi, Lexi. Do you want a bath? It's the quickest way to get her to leave her room. Yeah, there she goes. So if I can ever get the lid open, there we go. Now I can see my fabric. First thing I'm going to do is rinse it with some cold water. I'm going to rinse it until the water runs clear. You can see what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera off so I can pay attention to this and make sure I've got it all out, and then we'll be back when it's completely rinsed. So I've got it in the cold water mixed with alum right now to kind of set the dye, and about 15 minutes in this, then I'll take it out and let it dry. Just a little reminder, it's not something I really learned, it's something I already knew. Wear gloves. I unfortunately didn't have a pair that really fit me very well, so I ended up taking them off in frustration, and the dye wasn't done rinsing out of the fabric yet. So I've got nice purple palms right now, but that's okay because I'm just gonna go to work and put more gloves on to cover it up tomorrow anyway. And here's the finished product. I am really pleased with how it turned out, so I'll finish it off, give it an iron, and wait until I have a project for it to go with. But first attempt, I'd say, was successful. So there you have it. There's my first few adventures into Learn by Doing, including Learn by Doing editing a video. I hope it's not too horrible. I hope it helped you out in learning how to do something. I know I've certainly learned a lot. I'm saving now for a GoPro because one-handed anything is really tough. In terms of how I feel about dyeing, it was pretty easy, but honestly, I'd rather spend the time stitching, and I think I will leave the tea for drinking. So anyway, I hope you all have a great week, and I will see you next time. Bye.